Hey, Larry. Uh, Jace Johnson, is he? What's his timeline for incorporation here into the team, and will he be able to play this season?
Well, by rule, he could play.
I guess I should ask. Do you see him potentially playing this season?
Well, I mean, that's where we have some flexibility. I don't think he wants to commit to that. I don't think we want to commit to that. It's a process, as is the case with a lot of freshmen. A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement, and then you're in the environment and you go, wait a minute, this is a little bit harder than I thought. So I think, from a mental point of view, Jace is probably really excited. He's been sitting out a little while, so I'm guessing he's chomping at the bit, but he gets to do a little workout with us today for the first time. And, it's perfect timing through the Christmas break with minimal games. And we want to do the right thing for him and the right thing for our program, so we don't have to commit to it. Um, I think the most important thing to remember is that this has given him a jump on a freshman year, assuming we don't play him this year. Um, so, it's nothing that we're committing to. He's just going to try to learn some of the offense, get his feet wet around here. But it's going to be a lot mental to begin with, I think, for him as we get it going. So, family's here. They're spending some Christmas time here, and it's pretty cool. It's not a normal time, to have an arrival. So it's a unique situation for us, and we're just thrilled to have him on our team.
Larry, you'd previously talked about how this matchup against Duke was something you weren't really looking forward to and had to call him back and say that you agreed to it. Now, in retrospect, given the experience and given the win, I mean, how does this transition for the team moving forward? And is this something now that you're looking at? Maybe it was a good experience in general just to be able to go and play Duke.
Well, it's easy to play armchair quarterback and fortune teller and say, wouldn't it was really a perfect scenario. Our kids had a fantastic time. Family was there. I couldn't believe how many fans we had. Had an awesome get together on Friday night at a beautiful place on the top floor of the Mandarin Hotel with a bunch of boosters, and I spoke to the group there and said the only thing that makes it perfect is if we win, and we did. So it's easy to say, oh yeah, but for so many reasons it was the right thing to do, and as we were on that trip, I felt more and more that was the case. To get out to play a team of that nature, and then certainly you don't get a chance to play an MSG very often. And the most important thing is I didn't think the game would kill us. I was really hopeful that we could be competitive. We laid an egg with Miami. We laid an egg with Wichita. We had a terrific week of practice, and stayed competitive and managed to win the game. And just as I don't think the game would have killed us had we lost, the game doesn't save our season because we won. And it gets back to the old adage that I've said for 5 years is you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. Last Monday, when there was no one here for our little press conference with a little bit of snow, and we just had got whipped by the Shockers, the world didn't come to an end. And we had a kind of a nasty little film session, but we weren't as bad as we thought we were, and you roll in here this Monday and we're not as good as we think we are. So to me, it's about a grind that you kind of stay on a daily basis. You look what's next. You keep, it was a great win, a great program win, not only for our university, for our basketball program, for our state. You don't get an opportunity on ESPN. So there's so many things, that trickle down. But at the end of the day, it's a game, and we've got to take the proper momentum from that game and have one game here at Delaware State tomorrow, and then we'll have one tune up before the new year and start league. That's the second season. So that's probably the most important thing, is that we remain focused on what it is we need to get better at.
You mentioned that with the non-conference winding down and whatnot. How would you assess how the team has performed so far in the season?
Well, I think it's been a little bit of an adjustment for all of us. We've got some guys that were new to what we're doing, specifically Lorenzo and Gabe continue to find their way with the junior college transition. I think perimeter-wise, those guys have a lot more to offer, and they know it. The Brandons and the Dakaris and the Isaiahs and even Bracat and Kuz as far as shooting from three hasn't been stellar. And, previously you'd say we were one of the better three-point shooting teams in the country. So I think we've adjusted to maybe no DeLon. We're going to have to earn those threes in a different way, open up the rim for us through more of a collective idea, because we don't have that one guy that's going to go make it happen, although Lorenzo's certainly making great progress with his 9 assists the other night. And defensively, we're not happy with where we are. The last 2 games, we really, I think, recommitted and dedicated ourselves to playing some defense. It wasn't fun to hear that we were last in the Pac-12 in defensive field goal percentage, and I don't think that's something that our guys are proud of. But truth be known, we've probably spent a little more time early on our offense. And so that kind of serves you right. And then the last couple of weeks, a lot more defense, and our percentages are going down. So, kind of a refocus, I think. But it's a hard schedule as you assess. We're number 1 in the Pac-12 in terms of strength of schedule and RPI. So we didn't take it lightly, and we've challenged ourselves in a number of different environments, and we managed to win the majority of those games. So from a wins and losses, as you measure yourself, I think we're pleased with where we are, but we've still got a long way to go in terms of some of the fine-tuning and making sure that we continue to be dialed in from a defensive point of view.
Larry, how much of the turnovers that you've had recently are in relation to that changing the roles and trying to get everybody on the same page, as opposed to last year, DeLon was kind of the guy that handled the ball. Now you've got a couple of guys that are trying to do different things. Is that part of it, or is it just kind of a combination?
Well, certainly that's a percentage of it. Just before I came down here, I had asked our staff to break down the 19 turnovers, because it's one thing to say we had 19 turnovers, but let's figure out how they happened, and I know in the Wichita State game and in the Duke game, there's 3 or 4 illegal screens because we're trying to get a teammate open and we get called for an illegal screen. Now, whether it is a legal screen or not, I thought there were a number of times where we went, set a great screen, the defense ran into us, which is kind of the reason you set a screen. But I'm starting to wonder if we need to start coaching that, where you run into a screen, you snap your head back, and then the official assumes that it was an illegal screen because it was too physical. That's kind of where we've been with those 2 marquee games that we've been in. And, that's for not only are they turnovers, but they put Bracat on the bench in the Wichita State game, which has an impact. We had, I think, 3 travels. There was only 1 turnover. Then I told the guys at halftime, even though we weren't pleased with our turnover total, there was only 1 turnover where we threw it to them and they scored. And you can look at stats that say points after turnovers, but I didn't realize this, but apparently if at the next possession after you turn it over, they score, it's considered points off a turnover. That's a different type of turnover than traveling, then you set your defense, and if they score on you, that's one thing. But the ones you can't defend, the turnovers you can't defend, are the ones that are problematic. The one we threw to Ingram and he dunked it. And not only that, but it typically creates a little bit of momentum going the other way. So that's what we're trying to figure out. How do we eliminate them? How do we clean them up? We need to figure out just exactly how they took place. We haven't broke it down yet.